Let's look at a simple sample of how to use a combo box in a NetBeans project. This is using the GUI, so I'll click File, New Project. Next, we'll call this Combo Box, and I'm going to uncheck the Create Main class. Finish. It will create my new project, and then the first thing I need to do is come over to my packages and add a new JFrame form. I'll call it FRM main. Click Finish, and here's my form. Now I want to work with the combo box, but first thing I'm going to do, just to make my layouts a little easier, and like I said, in the real world you're probably not going to use this layout, but for our little samples we are going to go ahead and right mouse click on the JFrame and choose Set Layout to be Absolute, and I'm going to drop a panel on there. I'm going to make that panel whatever size I want it to be, and I'm going to change its layout to also be absolute. And now I'm going to go ahead and drop a combo box. Here's my combo box, and I can right mouse click on it and give it a name, and I'm going to call it CMB States, and I'll click OK. Now the important thing to know about the combo box is one of the main properties you have is called model. Model, if you have worked with any other type of web development languages, for instance MVC, M stands for model, and model always represents the data. So in this case, the model attribute for the combo box represents the data inside of the combo box. I can click on the ellipsis, which then brings up a box for me to work with the data, and I can wipe out the data that's already there, and I'm going to type in, I'll just type in some abbreviations. We'll do CO, TX, UT, WY, and I'll click OK. Now I can have any number of items in there, but I'm just going to go with the 4 for right now. I'll click OK. I can resize that combo box. You can also specify which one you want to start off being selected. Let's just go ahead and run it first and see what it looks like. When you click on Run, it asks you to prompt, or it asks you to choose who's the main class. We'll go ahead and let our the one we just created, FRM main, be the class we want to work with. And it's going to run our program and create the window for us. And here's our combo box. So quite exciting, right? Let's look a little bit deeper at the combo box now. One attribute of the combo box that you're going to work with is called Selected Index. And this is the item that is selected. Now remember, when you work with arrays, they always start at 0. Combo box is the same way. So if I chose the selected index as 1, press enter, notice that it says, hey, you want the second position, because that's what 1 means, the second position in that combo box. If I had chosen 2, it would want the third position. And once again, that's because they are 0 based. So if I ran it this time, saying the selected index was 2, the item selected is Utah, and then I could choose whichever one I wanted. Another attribute that's interesting to look at for the combo box is called maximum row count. Right now maximum row count is 8. Let's change it to 2, and we'll see what happens when I run it. Having the maximum row count of 2, I'll click on the drop down, and it only shows 2 items. Notice that it automatically includes scrolls, so you can get to whichever item you want, but that's more or less saying how many drop-down items do you want to show in that box. I'll go ahead and change that back to 8, which is just the default, but you can make it really anything you want. So let's see how to pull data out of that combo box. I'm going to go ahead and drop a label on there. And I'm going to give that label a new name. I'll just call it LBL state, and I'm just going to use that label to display the contents of the combo box, whichever one is selected. And I'm going to do that when I click on this button. So I'm going to go ahead and drop a button, change its variable name to be btn choose, and right mouse and make the edit text to be select. Once again, this is just for display purposes, that when I click on this button, I'm going to grab whoever is selected here and display it on that label. So we need to go ahead and access an event handler for this button. I'm going to right mouse click on it, and I'm going to choose the event mouse clicked. Now you could also choose action performed if you want, In this case, I'm just going to work with mouse clicked. And now I have the ability to go in and work with the contents of the combo box and assign it to the label. So I'm going to go ahead and add code to that event handler, and we'll say the label state dot set text is going to be equal to whatever the text is of that combo box, which will be CMB states dot get. Now in this case, we want to do a get selected item. You can get selected index, and that says, hey, who's the first item in the list that matches something, but we want to go ahead and say what's the item that's selected, the whole item. And I could say item. Now this returns an object. In fact, if you look at the error message, it says that's an incompatible type, object and string. So all you have to do is at the end of that type in toString. Let's go ahead and save that and run it. And we'll choose Colorado and click select, and it grabs the text from the selected the selected text from the combo box and displays it in the label. If you want to see what the selected index does, in this case you can just say the combo states get selected index. When you look at the warning message, it says, hey, you can't convert a string, an int to a string, and so you might think to yourself, well, I'll just put a period there. No, I guess I don't have a toString, so instead what we do is we specify the string class and do a value of, and then we just enclose the combo box inside of that, which now says what's the integer value that's selected, and convert it to a string and set it to the label. And let's see, in this case, if I chose UT, we know that UT is in the third position, or the index is 2. Let's see what the number would be. And it's 2. Now, if I have one in here, there's Colorado, that'd be 0. If I didn't have any selected, then the item would be a -1, because remember 0 refers to the first position. So that's the main way to use a combo box.